What is up? It is Snitchery. How you doing? I feel like I say this a lot, but I am so freaking jazzed about today's video because it's really different than anything I've ever done on my channel. I've never done fashion content. The reason being that when I'm not on camera, I literally dress like this. So you're not missing much. But recently, I've been wanting to get into fashion a little bit more because a lot of my friends are really into fashion and I used to want to be a fashion designer, and because I have no sense of style, literally all of my family and friends will tell you that I am the least fashionable person they know. I had no idea where to start. So I started where anybody who has media-based coping mechanisms would start, which is with anime. Today we are going to be dressing like Sailor Moon for a week. So I had this idea before like the global pandemic and all this shit went down. So my original intention was to actually wear these outfits out and about in public and like vlog with my friends and stuff like that. I had big plans for being out in LA looking like a Sailor Scout, but obviously that's not gonna happen. So instead, I'm just gonna try on all those outfits. I already went ahead and purchased them because like I said, I had this idea a long time ago, but I also didn't want to jip you guys out of content. I felt really bad just like skipping over the war for a week part and not giving you anything else. So instead, for every outfit for all 7, I am going to give you guys an anime recommendation because I know a lot of people are still working, many essential workers, but a lot of us are sitting at home right now and have a hell of a lot of free time. I know lots of semesters are winding down and stuff like that. They're not going to be in any particular order, though the last couple are my extra special ones. So if you want to know my all-time favorite shows, stay till the end. But for now, let's go ahead and get into some try-ons. I'm actually really excited. I haven't tried any of the stuff on yet. Also, all of these outfits are from the 1992 to 1997 original Sailor Moon run, the original TV show. I really like that 90s aesthetic, so I decided to go for that. And I think every single one of these outfits, I'm pretty sure, was actually worn by Sailor Mars. She was the most fashionable of the bunch for me. I always thought so, and I think she has like the most slam-on outfit. Oh, last thing, if you've never seen my face before and you're ever interested in seeing my face again, feel free to subscribe down below. We would love to have you. I have to say like the biggest thank you for all the love I got on the last video I posted. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me on this little video journey. It literally does mean the world. I say it every time, and I mean it every time. First outfit, let's go. So this is outfit number 1. I think this one is really cute, though it's a lot of color for me on the day-to-day. I am not usually a huge color girl, so I think I might be a tiny bit uncomfortable wearing this much color. However, I will say that these colors look really cute with my hair. I will leave the links to everything down below rather than looking them up one at a time to let you guys know verbally where everything's from, but I am freaking obsessed with these pants, okay? They fit so well. They're so cute. So the first anime I want to suggest to you guys is Man Crybaby. The reason I want to suggest this first is because it's on Netflix. It's actually exclusively on Netflix, but compared to a lot of these shows which are going to be on Crunchyroll, I feel like maybe that's more accessible to a lot of you who aren't necessarily into anime. If you've never heard of Man Crybaby, it is all about a boy named Akira, and without spoiling too much, Akira, our protagonist, learns that demons are essentially taking over the world, and as a half demon, a devil man, he has to try to stop them. There are 2 things I like about the series. One, the animation is unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. Very exaggerated, very surreal, almost like grotesque, which matches perfectly with the second reason I love the show, that it is unapologetically dark. It is morbid, it's upsetting, it is stomach churning. There were moments when I was watching the show where I gasped out loud and was shocked that they would go that far. If you are looking for a happy, uplifting story, this is not the anime for you, but if you are looking for a succinctly told, gorgeously and uniquely animated, dark story that will haunt you for years later in the way that it haunted me, Man Crybaby might be for you. Okay. On to outfit 2. This is outfit number 2. This is a little bit closer to my style, I think, my typical style, maybe because it's a little less colorful. I feel like shirts like this are actually really cool on me because I do have this sort of unorthodox, for a woman at least, chest panel here. I feel like they look really neat, so I do dig that, and I feel like I can see myself wearing this sweater. The only thing that didn't really work for me was the belt, which was way too big and I had to loop it twice, but we're getting closer. My next recommendation is one that you've definitely heard of if you haven't already seen, and that is Attack on Titan. Now, when I was young, I used to watch a ton of anime. I was really into Studio Ghibli and Pokemon, like every other kid who had like a cool mom. And then when I got a little bit older, I started watching things like Ouran Host Club. I kind of took a break on anime around like high school, and Attack on Titan was the series that in college brought me back. This anime has one of the coolest concepts like ever. I'm just going off memory for all of the summaries here, so sorry if they're not the best, but I'm speaking from the heart, okay? Attack on Titan is essentially about these people who live in an isolated society. They all live within these massive walls to keep themselves safe from giant titans. Like I said, I'm sure most of you have at least seen these guys on the internet, memed on or something, even if you haven't watched the show. This anime, more than like literally any other show I've watched, has more shocking moments and twists and turns. I became so hooked on this show that I actually read ahead in the manga, which I very, very rarely do. Eren, the protagonist, and his group around him become the people who fight these giant monsters, these titans, using sort of almost, they're like backpack zipline wires and sabers. And again, this is just one of those shows that is so brutal and so unafraid of killing characters that you really are tense with every interaction, because they do a really good job in the show of making it seem like anybody's at risk at all times, because they do kill off main characters fairly often. It's so good. I love shows that are just, they're as real as a show about giant, stupid looking baby, naked, muscle monster men that are like the height of Big Ben could be, right? If that was happening in real life, a lot of people would die, and a lot of people die in Attack on Titan, and it's really good. On to outfit 3. Okay, this is outfit number 3 and easily my favorite. This is 100% something I would wear, and I feel like the reason being is that I actually picked out this dress from a thrift store. This dress was not purchased in this haul. It was just something I had never tried on before. Maybe this is a nod to the fact that I know my style better than anyone. Better than Sailor Moon, perhaps. I think having this kind of choker really changed the look. Rather than a velvet choker, she looks very classy. With this kind of choker and my hair the way it is, I feel like I look very Freaky Friday, but I'm loving it. I'm obsessed with it. The only thing I'm missing is an arm cuff, which Amazon was supposed to deliver to me, and I realized when I was getting ready for this video, they just never did. So, I don't know. The next anime I have to recommend to you guys is Death Note. Again, this is a very, very popular anime, and I was gonna save it till a little further down in the list so that it wasn't so repetitive with shows you probably already heard of, but I couldn't resist the fact that I look exactly like Misa, right? With the pigtails and everything, right? Death Note is all about a high school boy named Light who finds a notebook from another world, which grants him the supernatural ability to kill anyone. Anytime he writes somebody's full name in his notebook, that person dies. Now, if this were to fall into my hands, maybe I would write somebody's name down, be horrified, turn it in, turn myself in, but that is not what Light does. Light is like, he's hype. He's hype about having this ability because he displays some sociopathic tendencies, is ready to take over the world. What ensues is the most high tension show between Light, our murderous anti-hero, and Elle, the young detective who is trying to catch this murderer, not knowing but sometimes suspecting that it is Light. The cinematography and the way it's shot and the way it's scored and the way it's animated, Light scribbling in his notebook is as tense as like the scariest horror movie you've ever seen in your life. Your heart will be pounding that same way. It is freaking incredible. There is a reason that it's an anime staple in the community, and if you haven't watched it yet, I hope I have maybe convinced you. Okay, so this is outfit number 4, and if this fit, I would wear it literally every day of my life. The overalls are obviously a little bit too big around the hips area. They were actually out of my size. This is from Boohoo, but I still think they're really cute, and they match this wig. Am about it. I always like the overall look because I like the little peekaboo if you're wearing a little crop top. I feel like it's the most like subtle way to be a little cheeky. It's just a little peek, a little cutesy little, well, you get it. The next anime I have to recommend to you is a show called Number 6. This is all about two boys living in a dystopian society. There is Shion, who was raised to be very privileged, very, very upper class, very wealthy, and then Nezumi, which means rat in Japanese, who sort of lives underground in the fringes of society. Again, without giving any of the plot away or giving you any spoilers, Nezumi does break into Shion's house. From there, their worlds are intertwined for better or for worse forever. Now, this is a yaoi series, which means it's gay. So at some point the two of them do become romantically interested in one another. That's what you go into Yaoi knowing, and it is beautiful. It is one of the best told love stories, gender irregardless, that I've ever watched. It is so good. The plot is also really high stakes. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil the show. It is very, very high sci-fi, high concept. It reminds me a lot of Black Mirror, actually. I would say it's essentially as close as you can get to a animated Black Mirror episode. Not that many people know about this show. Please watch it. Okay. Outfit number 5. Okay, so this is outfit number 5. Let me know if you guys agree with this. This would be so freaking cute if the skirt was not a thing. Not that the skirt is ugly on its own, but as a whole outfit together, I think it looks a little cuter on an animated girl than maybe me in real life. It's just a lot of coverage. I feel very swallowed by this fit. I will say though, the top half I think is cute. Like, I would wear the top half by itself. This I just cut off of another shirt, make a little tie. The skirt's a lot. The skirt is a lot. Now, before I get into my top 3 anime recommendations, because these are the ones that are really, really near and dear to my heart, I do want to give some honorable mentions. My Hero Academia is an incredible shoujin series, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. I've seen every episode, but because it's so overwhelmingly popular right now, I assume if you're watching anime, you're probably watching My Hero Academia. But if you're not, it's all about this group of school kids who have superpowers called quirks, and Midoriya, who is our main character, is quirkless, which means he has no powers up until he's not quirkless and has a big old power. Also, an honorable mention is Made in Abyss. This is a really creative and fantastic show about a little girl named Riko who is a freaking genius who lives in a town that has a giant pit in the middle of it. It's a massive giant hole that has been categorized by layers in terms of danger. Nobody really knows what's down there at the bottom. There's treasure, there's monsters. It's really creative. It's a world you just sort of want to dive and fall into. Riko herself, along with a little robot boy she meets, end up going down into the abyss. There's only 1 season so far, but the manga goes much further, so check it out now if you haven't already, and you can get caught up before a hopefully season 2. Last honorable mention is Terror in Resonance. This is about 2 teenage boys named 9 and 12 who steal an atomic bomb and essentially become terrorists, but you are rooting for them. They're the good guys. They are trying to expose the real bad guys by threatening to destroy Tokyo unless their cryptic riddles are solved. Sort of on the other side of this is a detective, like a worn down old detective, and he's trying to figure out who they are while they're trying to sort of solve the mystery of their own upbringing. Again, a heartbreaking show. Incredible! On to my actual number 3 recommendation. This is often at the top of people's recommendations, but it is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I kind of describe it, and some people won't like this, okay? But I kind of think of it as the adult version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've heard it described that Avatar: The Last Airbender is an adventure show set in an Eastern culture told by Western show creators, whereas Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is a show taking place in a Western civilization, like in Europe, as told by Eastern creators. They kind of have a similar vibe, except Full Metal Alchemist is much more grown up. FMA Brotherhood follows 2 brothers, Edward and Alphonse, as they search around the land to find a stone that will bring back their bodies. Alphonse, having lost his entire body, he now lives as a spirit, sort of in a suit of armor, and Edward, having lost one of his arms. Parts of their body they lost trying to resurrect their mother with magic, or as the title implies, alchemy. Now, out of all the shows on my list, I would say FMA Brotherhood is the most perfect. It's 60 episodes, it might be 60 exactly, but it's around there, 60 to 64, and every single episode feels essential. There's no filler, there's no time wasted. Perfectly told story. I could cry thinking about it right now. When I finished FMA Brotherhood, I didn't watch anime for like 6 months because I was just so, I could not move on to a new story. It was so good. I was so attached to the characters. If you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, you understand what I mean when I say that by the end of the show, you're just like, these characters are my children. We've been through a journey together. I've probably watched this series and rewatched it more than any other show probably ever. Okay, this is my 6th outfit, and this feels like the first fail. I do not feel fun and fresh. I don't love it. I actually think the sweater I wore for the other outfit with the shorts would have been more accurate, but I didn't want to repeat sweaters. This one is definitely too bright for the reference photo, and it's also just, it's not my color. I'm not an orange girl. This was a fail. I'm sorry, Sailor Mars. Actually an absolute crime. I am even recommending this show to you looking unfashionable. It is a crime because my number 2 recommendation and my number 2 favorite anime of all time is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Literally no description of this show will do it justice, so while I'm talking, I'm actually just gonna leave a couple of photos from the show over on the side, which I think will tell a better tale than I ever could. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is all about the men and eventually women of Joestars. They are these, at first, super buff, ridiculously muscled, and manly, and charming, and charismatic men who can manifest and bend energy to their will. Powers can be anything from punching really hard to stopping time, to having little magic bullets, to being able to use zippers at will. A baby with fangs that has a murderous clown that can kill you in your sleep that you forget all about when you wake up the next morning. I mean, these things are ridiculous. There's a reason why the entire fandom is so out of their mind. There's a reason why Is That a JoJo's reference has become its own reference. Each season of the show follows another generation, whereas number 1 is basically like a high English drama, like set in Britain. By part 3, it's an adventure story where they're fighting vampires and crusading around Egypt. And then in part 4, it's all about a murderer in a little small town who steals women's hands. I mean, it's impossible to describe, and it's impossible to explain, and it's impossible to put into words, but please let its popularity speak for itself. Watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And now onto the last outfit in my number 1 show, which I think will probably come as a surprise to no one if you've ever been on this channel before. Okay, this is outfit 7, and despite it being wrinkled, I think it's cute as shit. One thing I don't like is that the V-neck is so wide. It's a lot of cleavage for me, and I'm a lingerie model, but I would be like a little nervous about a nip slip potentially being out and about in public with this. So I'd probably layer a turtleneck underneath it, which is a look I've been doing a lot lately, but I do really like the tie in the front. I think the sleeves are really cute, and other than the v-neck being weirdly wide, it does fit me really well, so this dress I would say is a win. Now what you all, or maybe none of you, have been waiting for, my number 1 anime recommendation. If you're only gonna watch one anime in your entire life, please make it this one. It is Hunter x Hunter. Please watch Hunter x Hunter. Watch Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter is the ultimate shoujin series. It is about a boy named Gon and his friend Killua as they become hunters. Hunters in this society are essentially the people who do the most dangerous job. They are the celebrities of this world. They are the people in power in the government. They are the bounty hunters. They are the richest and wealthiest chefs. They are the treasure hunters. They are the archaeologists. Like, if you want to become either the baddest bitch, the baddest villain in the world, or you want to become rich and powerful, you become a hunter, or you employ hunters to protect you or do your dirty work. Gon wants to become a hunter because his own father left his family to become a hunter when he was young, and Killua wants to become a hunter because he comes from a family of assassins, and that's just what you're supposed to do. What starts as an almost typical shoujin series about a boy going through these really innovative and fantastical trials and tribulations to become a hunter turns into the single most diverse and varied piece of media I've ever experienced. One arc can be all about these characters going inside a video game, whereas another arc will be about them fighting evil mutant ants. And if that sounds silly to you, it's not. If you thought the series I mentioned before sounded dark, and you were like, oh, this might be a little bit too far for me, Hunter x Hunter is the darkest shit I've ever witnessed in my life. The reason being that when you watch this show, you don't go into it realizing what it's gonna become. You go into it thinking it's just gonna be a cute little shoujin show like My Hero Academia, and you're gonna get to watch these characters like grow and become themselves. No. You watch these characters break, okay? You watch these characters become shriveled filled up rotted shells of themselves over the course of, how many episodes does Hunter x Hunter have? 148, I feel like? Yes, 148 episodes. I'm attached to the characters of Hunter x Hunter like I'm attached to the characters of no other media. That's including like freaking Harry Potter, Studio Ghibli, you name it. This is Killua, okay? Hunter x Hunter is my jam. Hunter x Hunter is always conversationally included when people are talking about the best anime of all time, and there is a reason for that. It is just freaking immaculate. What you're losing in consistency, this is not a show where you're gonna be seeing the same characters the entire time. Sometimes characters will take like 100 episode breaks. What you're losing in that consistency, you are getting in the coolest fucking concepts in anime. Every single arc of Hunter x Hunter is so unique and so different, and while that can sometimes be frustrating, it also makes for the coolest fucking anime experience that never leaves you bored. Not once. The story continues to ramp up so that by the end of the series, by the end of that 148 episodes, every single character is completely unrecognizable. And so are you as a viewer. If that doesn't convince you, here are Hunter x Hunter's villains. Not only are they hot, but they are all interesting, they are all complex. Much like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, every character has their own unique abilities, so the battles are not just battles of strength like you'd see in something like Dragon Ball. They are battles of wit, they're intellectual battles. You're trying to figure out what's happening at the same time the characters are, and unlike a lot of shows where these sorts of creative battles would end in people being incapacitated, in Hunter x Hunter they end in death. Like, the show is serious as fuck. It's so good. And if you still don't want to watch it after that, then I give up. But I promise you that the highs of Hunter x Hunter are a euphoria I have never felt before, and the lows hit me harder in the gut than anything I've ever experienced, and I'm still, almost half a decade later, hurting from them, okay? They hurt. But I think that's all I have for you guys today. If you made it this far in the video, leave your all-time favorite anime down in the comments. I'm always on the hunt for new shows, so I would love to watch some of your recommendations. Thank you for being my friend today, and always like this video if you like it. It took me a really long time to film. Thank you for being my friend today, and always. I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Bye, guys.